So, Snow White 2025, there are many reasons why I like to compare this to the Acolyte series by Leslie Headland, by Kathleen Kennedy. It is getting a similar level of backlash. It also has been ratioed across all forms of social media. We even have a large boycott going on as we speak from the general public, from families that grew up with the 1937 classic that refuse to watch anything related to this movie in particular by Bob Iger and his ongoing deliberate agenda with DEI and ESG and everything else related to his ideology that is getting shoehorned into all the Disney live-action remakes on the horizon, by the way, based on animated classics. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So, we know that Snow White 2025 is going to be a very much big disaster for 2025. It's going to be a terrible start for that year and for Bob Iger and the board of directors. But focusing on everything else going on with the Rachel Zegler drama going on with this movie in particular, like I said, this is very much on par with the Acolyte drama. It's not a good look for Disney. It's most certainly not a good look for Bob Iger. Now, getting into this, we know that this movie basically cost Disney tens of millions of dollars that were actually lost because many different scenes were thrown into the trash, as they are now looking to do more reshoots for the fourth time. Alright, a fourth round of reshoots. Believe it or not, guys, this movie was wrapped back in 2022, and they just keep on repeating the vicious cycle of trying to get things on track for this movie. However, on top of everything here, with the Walt Disney Company already overfunding some of their problematic projects for different divisions and doubling down on their DEI agenda, one major development now has more to do with Rachel Zegler and her growing issues with the Walt Disney Company behind the scenes after her recent firing from all projects moving forward connected to the company after Snow White. Now, one crucial update to this scenario now involves how and why Rachel is already preparing to take legal action against Disney after her recent firing. It turns out that Rachel already gave out multiple warnings against the Disney executives and blamed them for improperly firing her from the Pirates of the Caribbean reboot, a new animated film, and the Snow White sequel that was later cancelled after Zegler was removed, as they failed to find a proper recast, essentially. Now, Zegler is already playing the race card that she claims behind the scenes went into the decision of her firing from Disney. Zegler was also deeply offended over how Disney demanded multiple times for her to take down multiple posts on her X account for improperly promoting Snow White in the most divisive way possible. Now, the large issue at hand for Zegler here is that she claims that her contract for Snow White was indeed final when the executives claim her contract was incomplete and still being worked on prior to her firing from all those projects. What really set Zegler off was the cancellation of multiple performances that were going to be done by her on live television to essentially promote Snow White. This included a special presentation during a Thanksgiving parade this year, New Year's Eve, and even the Snow White world premiere at some point in March of next year, that were all cancelled due to Zegler's incompetence and her counterproductive PR moves for the film. To make matters worse, for Zegler's case, essentially, is already demanding that her projects are to be reinstated, including her performances that she claims was final in her contract and part of the Snow White deal. This comes well after Zegler lost out on a multi-million-dollar deal across all of those films that were going to add up to around $20 million worth of payout by the Disney companies, since Zegler believed Disney was going to be her bread and butter, and of course, over past failed experiences with other studios. So, guys, let me just pause here for a sec. The fact that she really did deeply believe that Disney would be her bread and butter, that just goes to show you that it's a similar scenario to Brie Larson. That too was her bread and butter. Disney, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, etc., that didn't work out for her. And in this case, many Disney projects didn't work out for her as well. So, I mean, it seems like that Disney almost universally works in a same way for different types of actresses that kind of think in similar patterns. But interestingly enough, this movie is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of quote-unquote Disney fans, alright? If that, the ones that really do love these live-action remakes and tune into them, you know, whether it's every couple of years or whatever have you. The fact that we have this movie, Disney's Mufasa coming out, and among others, like Sword in the Stone, that's going to embrace DEI. In fact, they're doubling down on that agenda for Sword in the Stone and Hercules. We'll have a lot more to talk about that next week, so stay tuned on that. However, this is where things get a little intense, because we know that Zegler is making all these demands, making all these claims behind closed doors. She really is a self-absorbed individual, believes that she's this all-high and mighty actress that really deserves all the work in the world, when you had a lot of failed projects before. You know, her track record isn't too great as an actress. Now, look, on top of that, in addition to all of this, Zegler is also preparing to take legal action against Disney over a toxic working environment where she believes that there was intense favoritism by the executives for Gal Gadot and her performance over hers on the set of the film. Executives are distancing themselves from this claim behind the scenes and deny it on all fronts. This is essentially an act of desperation from Zegler, as Snow White is doomed to be their worst performing film in over a decade that would ultimately, of course, lead to a large financial loss. Zegler is planning to move ahead with her legal stance by this October if nothing is resolved at all before, such as her performances and other factors getting thrown into the equation. So again, like I've said before in the past, there's a lot of actresses and or actors that think in a similar way like this. We have Rachel Zegler, Brie Larson, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and many others, Amanda Stenberg. When you're looking at different actors, you got Mark Ruffalo, you got Mark Hamill. I mean, they all are very much self-centered individuals that blame fans, that believe that they deserve everything in the world, and based on what's been going on with all these Disney hires, it's not a good look at all for Bob Iger. That's why the Disney stock has been very erratic. It's been very unpredictable. It's been going up and down like crazy. It's had a lot of averages of going downward, and that has a lot to do with many different things. We'll talk more about that as well in the next couple of days. But this is where things get, a little out of control, is the fact that now you have Bob Iger, and we talked about this days ago. He's trying to go into heavy damage control mode about Snow White, the ongoing boycott, the backlash against the film being on a historic level, by the way. We've never seen a backlash this large for any live-action project by Disney, not connected to Star Wars, by the way, just to be very clear, about Disney live-action remakes based on the animated classics. This is the biggest backlash that we have seen, and it's not just because of Rachel Zegler. Let's be very clear about that. It is also about the fact of the entire ideology behind this, and how clear Bob Iger has made, to the general public that this is most certainly their focus over proper storytelling. That's why the test screenings are not working out for this film at all, and the sixth one will not work out as well. I can almost guarantee that. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.